you ask any golfer how far they hit various clubs in their bag, they're usually going to rattle off an answer pretty quickly. How far do you hit a 7-iron? 145. How far do you hit your driver? 260. Usually we know that pretty close. So with our longer clubs, where we're trying to cover large distances in one swing, we know our distances with remarkable accuracy. But if you ask a golfer, how far do you hit your putter? You're usually going to get crickets. I know the first time I had a pro ask me this, they said, how far do you hit your putter? And I just kind of looked at him like, what are you talking about? It depends. If a 10-foot putt, I'm going to try to hit it 10 feet. On a 30-foot putt, I'm going to hit my putter 30 feet. He pointed out to me that you need to know what your stock yardage is with a putter, just like you do every other club in your bag. So he had me he said, don't overcomplicate it. Just take a ball and just take a normal putting stroke, whatever normal is for you, and just see how far it goes. So for me, that tends to be right around 30 feet. If I'm just going to walk up to a putt and not think too much about it and just sort of take my normal stroke, it's about 30 feet. So I want to walk you through a drill that Tony does to help him really dial in his distance control with his putting. And it's super simple. It's just one of those things that kind of makes you think, why didn't I think of that? But before we get to that, I have to talk about tempo. And Tony talks about tempo a little bit in the drill that we're going to show you here, but I want to just really hammer this home, because if you don't nail down your tempo, the rest of this drill is going to be completely useless. You could make as much progress in your putting game by learning Mandarin to help your putting stroke as to watch the rest of this video. You have to nail down tempo to be a good putter. The comfortable tempo for a golfer is going to be very unique to their personality. I feel like everybody sort of has like a natural internal rhythm. So whatever your internal clock is, so to speak, is going to determine your rhythm and what's comfortable for you. But whatever your tempo is, you want to find what's comfortable to you. And the most important thing is that you repeat the same tempo every single time.
Your tempo is the same. On to, you find a tempo that works for you, whatever you can consistently repeat, whatever it is.
Tony talks about, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's really easy to, in my mind, to hear that as one back, one down. So it's equal time back as back to impact. I actually went back and looked at Tony's stroke and paid attention to how long does it take him to start moving the putter to get it all the way to the top of his arc, and then how much time passes from the top of the arc back to impact, and then from impact to the end of his stroke. And it is almost exactly a 2-to-1 ratio, backstroke to downstroke. So let's just say that his backstroke is a half a second, his downstroke is a quarter second, and then the follow through is also a quarter second. So when Tony says 1, 2, the specifics of that timing are 1 back and then 2 all the way through. Your backstroke takes the same amount of time as your entire downstroke and follow through. And that makes sense, because if you think about a pendulum, it's going to take longer for it to swing back than it's going to take for it to swing back down, because on the way back, it's working against gravity. On the way back down, gravity's pulling it. So if you put the same amount of energy into moving that pendulum, it's going to take longer to go back than it's going to take for it to come back down. If I try to make it 1 second back, 1 second down, I'm going to have to actively fight against the energy in order to slow it down so that it takes the same amount of time on the way back down. At the same time, you don't want to add energy to the downstroke either and make it 1 back and then a half on the way back down, or a half for the follow through. You want it to be nice and smooth and even. 1 part back, half a part back to the ball, and then a half a part all the way through. The entire time that it takes the putter to go from address to the top of your arc of the backstroke is going to be equal to the amount of time that it takes to get from the top of that arc to the top on the other side. Once you have that tempo down, all he's doing here in this drill, he's just hitting a series of putts where he's being very conscientious of how far he's taking the putter face back. As you watch Tony here on these first few strokes, he's going to be taking the putter back to about his big toe on each side of the stroke.
It's just always going to be right around there. So it's really good for people to get the yips or whatever. Just figure out what your distance is and you never be too far off, because it's just moves. You can't mess it up.
Yeah. So the more you practice this, as long as you're keeping the same rhythm and the same tempo to each of these strokes, you're going to start to get really consistent at seeing exactly how far you hit each putt. Same as you would with a wedge, where you can do, we did the wedge drill where we say, okay, if I take it hip high to hip high, it goes 20 yards. If I take it arm parallel to arm parallel, it goes 60 yards. If I take a full swing, it's going to go 80 yards. Same thing applies with a putter.
See a little bit of recoil. That's because I have an intended stop dip. We'll see the putters on tour. Sometimes that happens because it had an intended stop. So a little bit of recoil.
Mm-hmm. So are you actively decelerating at that point almost?
It's just an intention of where you're trying to stop. Where
Gotcha.
you're trying to stop. It's controlled stopping. It's just that this is where we intend to finish.
Got it.
So we're intending to transition here to there.
As he moves through the drill, the second putt is going to be about the outside of his right foot on the way back or around his pinky toe. And then on the way through, the putter's going to stop at around his left pinky toe. Now, as Tony takes it back further, the second stroke here, he's keeping that same tempo, but he's now going outside of his foot or to his small toe, and then small toe on the way back through. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Your stroke should be pretty symmetrical. In other words, how far it goes back should be roughly how far it comes back down. The time is not symmetrical, but the distance of the arc or the length of the arc is going to be even on both sides. So if he takes it to his big toe on the way back, he's going to stop it at his big toe on the way down. If he takes it to his pinky toe on the way back, it's going to go to his pinky toe on the way down. If he takes it 1 foot width outside of his small toe on the way back, he's going to take it the same distance on the way back down. Yeah, this is what toe to toe.
I just got it in my head where it is. It's just giving us an intention. We're going to stop and start the putt. I'm always going to be right around the same spot.
And then in the third putt, he's going to be taking it back about a foot width outside of his right foot on the way back, and then about a foot width outside of his left foot on the way back down. Pay attention to how tight the clusters are here for Tony. I mean, if you can hit a 20-foot putt and know you're going to get it within a 1 or 2 foot circle of the distance that you're aiming for every time, I mean, hey, you can only misread a putt so bad. If you get your distance correct every single time, even if you miss it by a foot, you're still going to be left with a 1 or 2 foot tap in. So the whole goal of this is to make sure that your next putt is a tap in. So if you can really dial this in so that you know exactly how far you've got to take the putter back to hit it, 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet, 25 feet. I mean, even if you are off by a couple of feet, it's still leaving you a tap in. When you get out on a putting green, you can expand this as far as you like until you get up to 60, 70, 80 feet, depending on how much room you've got on the putting green. I wouldn't spend a ton of time trying to dial in your 80-foot distance. I think you'd be better served getting on the driving range, trying to hit it closer to the hole. But I would say, practice this up to 35, 40 feet and just see how far you have to take the putter back, maintaining that same tempo to hit at certain lengths. So, for me, if I get outside, usually this putt, this stroke is going to be about a 30-footer. So that's taking it, about 1.5 feet width outside of my, or if this is 1 foot width, an extra foot width is going to be about right here. And for me, I'm taking it to about right here, about 1.5 feet outside my right side and through on the other side. And that's going to be about a 30-footer for me. For me to hit it 50 feet, I'm going to need to obviously take it a little further back. It might be here with the same stroke on the other side. So as long as I'm maintaining that same tempo, I can kind of work this out by just starting small and building up. So the more you can work on your distance control, the more consistent you're going to be, and the more consistent you're going to be at reading greens. It's really easy to forget how crucial of an element speed control is to reading greens correctly. You can hit the same putt, a ball out and make it if it's got a fast pace, and a cup out and make it if it's a little bit slower pace, or maybe even 2 cups out if it's got a lot of slope and a really, really dying pace. You can put a good read on a putt and hit the putt exactly on the line you wanted to, but then you misjudge your speed a little bit and you're going to get the break wrong. So the more consistent you can be with the speed, the more consistent you're going to become at reading greens, and the more consistent you're going to be at nailing the number exactly so the ball is dying into the hole and you're not going to have as many lip outs. So the next time you get a chance, get outside, work on this drill, and stop three putting.